abysmal loading times, but with Tony-focused gameplay sections that achieve the opposite of their Iron Man counterparts. Now, these sections take place in environments that shackle you to this weird node-based teleportation system that takes you from place to place. But the problem is, each place you can go to is empty. There's nothing to do. And the things you can pick up, you pick them up weirdly. There's no real animation to it. You can't really do anything with them. Being unable to interact with the game during cutscenes or dialogue means that I'm sitting inside this bucket bored out of my mind with nothing to do. This is in really stark contrast to the Iron Man gameplay, which threw me into adrenaline-pumping battles where I had immense freedom in movement, resulting in fluid combat that at times had me outperforming the metalhead himself. Every time I'm forced to play as Tony Stark, I cannot shake the feeling that this must clearly be made by a different developer, like Shirley. Everything about these segments feels sluggish and a pain to go through. At first, it was cool to be able to warp around the house. The prospect of playing around in his mansion was really exciting. But there was nothing to do, nothing interactive. Everything about picking things up felt half-baked and unnatural, and the few things the game lets you pick up are uninteresting, doing nothing. The entire game takes place in this big empty mansion. You spend hours here doing nothing, just listening to fun dialogue between interesting characters in an admittedly decently written story. But it's such a waste of time because the developers failed to realize the big difference between VR and flat screen gaming. Cutscenes seem to have been made with complete disregard for the fact that the game has you locked in place 100% of the time. Not being able to move or respond to the things happening around the character would be fine for certain situations, which the game has a few of, but for the majority of the game, just standing around is plain boring. When playing a VR game, there is nothing else for you to do. You are completely immersed in this experience, so if there's not something available for you to interact with at every moment, then that immersion is broken. And then what is the point of this being a VR experience? If I have to wait to do anything until people are done talking, why am I wasting my time in this plastic bucket? This game is structured like a regular game, one that doesn't need the player to be constantly engaged or free from interruptions to their experience. And to top it off, roughly every 15 minutes, you are guaranteed to get a loading screen. These loading screens vary from 30 seconds to 2 minutes, and quite often like to occur close to each other. At first, I was still in love with the skin deep experience, but after 4 chapters, I was really starting to get irritated with them. And by the game's final 12th chapter, I was completely done with the game, ready for that conclusion to roll around.
Some damage taken, sir.
It's really disappointing to see one of your favorite IPs of all time flirt so closely with greatness only to be bogged down by flawed and misguided execution. Iron Man VR can be an insanely fun time. In my first few sessions with the game, I had constant smiles on my face. I was hopping around, having a great time blasting robots. But in order to get to what I was loving about the game, I had to suffer through game design that just really wasn't gelling with the VR medium. Honestly, if taken on by another developer, they may have seen the potential of bringing the game in a different direction. Because that's the game's biggest problem. I mean, it has the visuals, it has the core combat gameplay, it has a story that is new and interesting, with fun takes on characters, some of which happen to be refreshing deeper dives than I was expecting, in the Marvel's catalog of a rogues gallery. But the developers anchor it to gameplay designs that do not really work all that well with VR gaming. Sadly, I cannot recommend Iron Man VR to anyone except for the most obsessive Marvel fans. And honestly, to score it, I'm gonna have to give it a big ol' 5. A nice juicy 5. Sadly, the best way to experience this game will be in 6 months when it's $15 on a sale. Most people will play it for a few hours and have a great time with it for what's on the surface. And then they're gonna drop it. But anyways, guys, are you going to be picking up Iron Man VR? What do you think about it if you already played it? Please let me know in the comments. Maybe spend some time looking at my other reviews, my other thoughts. So if you got some time, check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments of those as well. And don't miss anything that I'm putting up. Anyways, check out what I got going on. You guys have a good day.